on the gang
All right,
task force?
Mr. Turner, come on up, please.
Are you from the gang task force? You from the gang task force?
Good morning, Mayor, Hills, Commissioners. I'm Officer Darrell Turner, 25-year plus veteran of the Portland Police Bureau and president of the Portland Police Association. First, I have to excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, and I actually feel great, but I sound terrible, so if I take a sip of water to clear my throat, please excuse that. This was a long process. This process involved many facets. The facets that I want to talk about, Director Cameron talked about a lot of those facets. I want to talk about the staffing issues and the community concerns. Obviously, over the last 2.5 to 3 years, we've seen the police force dwindle to a point where we had catastrophic staffing issues, where we were only taking calls for service, call, where we weren't able to get out and be proactive. And when I mean by proactive, those are the community concerns I'm talking about. Engage with the community, be proactive in the neighborhoods, listen to what the community had to say, and not only listen to it, but incorporate those in our practices. We were able to do those things because we were basically going from call to call to call. Every shift we were hiring on overtime because we needed those mental staffing to be able to answer those calls. We've seen the dynamics of the city of Portland change in the last 7 to 8 years, and a lot of it has to do with staffing of the Portland Police Bureau and the lack of resources that we were able to avail that we were able to avail 10 years ago. For a dozen years, I worked the Old Town District, and I was proud to be able to walk in my district. I was proud to be able to meet with the business owners and with the residents and the people who lived in the community there in Old Town. I was proud of that. That was a sense of pride to me to come to work every day. And then with the staffing issues, officers aren't able to do that in their communities. And we wanted them to be able to do that in those communities. Those are the community concerns we wanted to address, as well as the staffing issues we wanted to address. Last night, I texted Anna Cameron with our results of our ratification vote. 91% of our members voted. That's a record vote from our membership. We were looking at the record was around 75, 77%. 95% voted yes, another record. 5% voted no. So that's another record. Our members are engaged. They want to be able to do policing. They want to be able to be policed. They want to be able to give resources to diverse and changing communities that they work in. And they want to be able to do that in a way which is meaningful to the community. And the only way to do that is to bolster our staff. To keep the best of the best that we have right now, but not only that, to bring in the best of the best that we can. In the last week and a half, I've talked to over a dozen officers who can retire in October. They are going to stay based on this collective bargaining agreement. They're going to stay here in Portland. They're going to stay with us either one way or another. Either in the retire rehire program, or they're going to stay just another few years before they decide to retire. They want to be here. They want to police Portland. They want to do it the way Portlanders wanted to be policed. But we can't do it at the staffing levels that we have right now. I want to thank you. I want to thank the commissioners for, I've met with all the commissioners at least once or twice to talk about this. I've had a lot of contact with you and your staff. Obviously, you were proponents of this. I want to thank Anna Cameron and her staff for also pushing forward. But for the police officers of Portland who do the work, they're the ones who are really going to benefit because they're going to be able to work in the community. The community is going to benefit because they're going to have police officers they want in their communities, doing the things they want in their communities. We can talk about police reform and different police reforms. We can talk about the 48-hour rule, which is something that was put into the contract in the 1970s, and now we're going to take it out because we have community concerns about that. We want to make sure we build more trust in the community. We want to build on the relationships we already have. We want to build on the friendships and partnerships we have in the community. And the way to do it is to build trust and show that things like the 48-hour rule can go away and we can still do the effective policing. We can still protect Portland police officers, but we can still do the things that we need to do in the communities. Those are things we want to talk about. And like I said, I had over a dozen officers in the last week and a half or so come to me and say, I'm staying. We're going to bring more people in. We're going to retain more people. And that will help the community. And that's what we wanted to do with this contract. And that's why we started earlier rather than later because of the catastrophic staffing issues and the lack of resources and the lack of community contact that we had over the last 2.5 years.
Darrell, you make a case for how this contract will help us retain quality, experienced officers.
Yes, sir.
I can just say from some of the media I've sampled, there's some skepticism in the public that will help us recruit the officers we need to address the staffing. Tell us what your confidence level is that with some of the changes that we're proposing, we'll be able to effectively compete for the officers that we want to have work with.
I will tell you, your best recruiters will be your officers that are working here right now. When we have people who want to become working police officers come here and go on ride-alongs, we talk to the other officers, and they talk to them and they say, why do you want to be here? Why are you here at work? Why have you stayed 10, 15, 20 years? Why have you done that? And it's because the community values our work, our leaders value our work, and we want to be here because we want to be the best of the best, but also this is the most dynamic nuances that we have for the city of Portland. To deal with issues that you wouldn't have anywhere else. Those are things police officers want to do. I know it sounds corny, but police officers want to work. They want to help people. We're here to help people. We're here to make sure that those who need the help, those who don't have the resources they need, get those resources. And when we do that, the enthusiasm, like I'm showing a little bit right now, actually comes out because that's what they want. And all police officers, anybody who wants to do this job should have that enthusiasm. And that means that when we have those people, that enthusiasm here that we've retained, bring other people in, and they will.
Folks, let's let them speak, please.
That will give us the ability to recruit new officers as well as lateral officers who want to come from other places. Portland officers, the most diversity in jobs that you can do in any police agency in the state. And police officers who want to do this work want to come here, and when they listen to all the officers who have been here and the enthusiasm they have and the happiness that they have for being here, they'll come here. And like I said, I talked to at least a dozen or more officers in the last week and a half that were going to retire in October. They were gone. They were finished, and now they're going to stay. And we actually have an officer who I'm not going to name, because I don't know if he gave us notice yet, who went to another agency and who called and said, "I'm coming back. I miss Portland. I miss the city. I miss the police work." So that's the dynamic that this brings, and the retention of the officers that have invested in this, bring in and also invest in this, will benefit the community, will benefit our agency, will benefit the city.
Thank you very much. Well, I just want to say, Daryl, that, oh, so go ahead, please.
Mr. Turner, we've talked before about the fact that major crimes in the city have declined 35–40% since 20 years ago. The police force is approximately the same size. Now, I know the number of calls has not gone down, in fact, it's gone up. And my understanding is the reason for that is we get a lot of calls about things that aren't really crimes. So my question for you is, do you think that over time, community service officers can handle a large percentage of these calls that aren't about traditional crimes?
I think there's going to be a level of they may be able to handle, but I think in general, most people will, you don't know what you get till you get there, but I think most people also want police officers there, not because a community service officer can't avail all the resources, but they just feel more comfortable with police officers. They are availing resources, having confidence in the fact that they're getting the best of the best, they're getting advice, they're getting resources, they're getting the help they want and they need. We talked about people who, I don't know if I've talked to you, but I've talked to the other commissioners about going to a cold burglary, as opposed to somebody calling in and saying, "Hey, my house was burglarized, and so I want to make a report over the phone." When I used to go to cold burglary and other police officers, when we had the staffing, I not only went to that burglary and talked to that person, I would check the closets under their bed, in their attic, in their basement, so they would feel comfortable nobody else was there. So when I left, they felt comfortable that their house was safe. After being violated and burglarized, they felt comfortable their house was safe. Those are the things that the staffing of the police bureau will bring to other people. That confidence level, that safety level, that Portland will deserve to be.
We don't feel safe.
Other questions for Daryl? Daryl, I just want to say that labor negotiations under the state of Oregon.
So the people are saying they don't feel safe.
And it is a negotiation, so you have to get to yes in this process. And I just want to say I appreciate the positive approach that you've taken and that your leadership in the police association. These are always difficult, and things we don't agree on. But the fact that the way you conducted yourself and yourselves in this process enabled us to get to an agreement that I think is in the best interest of the community and of our police officers. I just want to say I appreciate it.
I thank you, and I thank everybody getting up in front of me, and Commissioner Saltzman, who's not here right now, for your help, for listening, for at least making decisions based on what you heard and making sound decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay,
So now
let's
y'all
turn to
voting.
the sign-up sheet,
First
please.
y'all want to fight, now y'all
And again,
cool, huh?
folks, again, our
Now y'all
apologies,
cool.
but we're
Y'all
going to
can't
be
tell
taking a
coming
break.
with?
Whoever's speaking, could we ask you to stop so that folks can hear?
All Negroes.
We're gonna take a break at 11 o'clock because we're gonna lose a quorum. So we'll take as many people as we can before that based on the sign-up sheet. I know we told people 3 minutes. I think we should should stick with 3 minutes, even though it will be, some folks will have to come back.
The first three, please come on up, are Isabel Sheridan, Dr. Leroy Haynes Jr., and Dan Hendelman, and they'll be followed by Joanne Hardesty, Khalil Edwards, and Kimberly McCullough. Dr. Haynes isn't here. Let's go ahead and go with Joanne Hardesty.
Sheridan, I think you're first. Go ahead.
Thank you. As I listened to the presentations, I think some of this is old, and so I'm going to go through it quickly and then say a couple of things personally. Mayor Hales and members of the City Council, I've read 3 communications to you from the Alabama Ministerial Alliance Coalition for Justice and Police Reform. First, the letter of September 25th, 2016, calling for the elimination of the 48-hour rule. I'm so glad you're doing that. Second, the AMA's proposals of August 17, 2016 regarding this upcoming PPA contract. Third, the AMA's proposed policies for Portland Police regarding the use of body cameras sent to you via email on September 17, 2015. I agree with all these proposals. The need for communities to have a say in changing the above-noted elements in police contracts is a national concern. I refer you to the New York Times lead editorial of September 3rd, 2016. It's noteworthy that the Times saw the 24-hour wait time before Chicago police were questioned after deadly force incidents as too long. We have a 48-hour wait time in the current police contract. I am a white, retired professional who moved to Portland intentionally because of the quality of life I wanted in my retirement. I could live a relatively safe life here if I did not get involved in this issue, but I want to be involved. I want to see the Portland police culture change in deep, significant ways so that people of color can feel safe being in public the way I do.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am not referring to people who are in the process of committing a crime. People of any color. Of course, we want police to take care of that. I am referring to people who are simply walking down the street or in the mall, or who are legally parked in their own cars in a traditionally white neighborhood. Community policing relies on the goodwill of the community. Racial profiling is always violent, always psychologically, sometimes physically. When ordinary citizens are subjected to unjustified violence by police, those citizens feel angry and humiliated. They no longer trust the police to respect their dignity or their lives. The City Council needs to change the police contract in the ways recommended by the AMA. I think some of those things have been done, maybe not all. And the training mandated by the DOJ settlement needs to include mandatory in-depth trainings on implicit bias and white privilege.
Excuse me, ma'am. Everybody's waiting to testify. So
She's on our last.
I'm out of time. Until police behavior changes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here this morning.
That was,
Thank you.
yep.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Dan Campbell from Cop Watch. We call upon the City Council to slow down the
Folks,
process.
I'm sorry, Dan, hang on, stop this time. Folks, we really need folks to be quiet enough that we can hear and you can hear you speaking. So go ahead, please, Dan.
We call on you to slow down this process on ratifying this proposed contract for the PPA. The term of the contract is 3 years, and the old contract doesn't expire until next June. So it will lock in impediments to accountability until mid-2020 when the next mayor's race is underway. It would make more sense to allow the incoming mayor to negotiate the term of the police officer's contract that he has to supervise for the next 4 years. While it has been an important goal of the community, to get rid of the 48-hour rule. Doing away with that cannot be the sole achievement of this round of bargaining. The PPA made it clear to the COAB last year that they believe the rule was necessary based on science that dictates a person needs 2 sleep cycles to refresh their memories. The fact that they were willing to give up this rule in exchange for pay raises means the devotion to this pseudoscience is way to forget. Furthermore, the city attorney told Judge Simon last fall that the 48-hour rule has rarely, if ever, been invoked in recent years as officers have come in voluntarily for interviews 3 or more days after shooting incidents. Moreover, it seems as if officers will have longer than 48 hours in cases where they will now be allowed to review not just their police reports, but body camera footage in non-deadly force cases. By giving away the financial demands of the PPA in exchange for removing just one public policy issue, the city has nothing left to negotiate for further changes. We sent a letter to the mayor and the mayor-elect in conjunction with the AMA Coalition and the NAACP outlining changes that should be negotiated into this contract. For example, we called the city to fix the binding arbitration clause for officers who are fired so they'll stay fired. Our suggestion was to move deadly force incidents to the civil service board system so that ultimately a judge and not a biased arbitrator could decide if firing an officer is valid. We listed a number of issues in the contract that act to impede our police oversight system. IPR Director Constantine Severe outlined some of those aspects in presentation to council just 2 weeks ago. Those elements include the ability of IPR to investigate officer-involved shootings and compel officer testimony, and for the CRC to be able to hear deadly force case appeals. We had also urged the city not to allow the PPA to bargain their ability to review body camera footage before writing their police reports. While it's not written into the contract, the ordinance you're considering specifically lists that issue as a mandatory subject of bargaining. Even though there's no prohibition in the draft policy saying there is a prohibition, saying there's an exception when officers use deadly force, A, that policy can be rewritten unless council formalizes it into code, and B, there's no such exception for use of force which causes injury but not death. The August letter also asked that the city make drug testing mandatory after deadly and excessive force incidents, the same way federal rules require truck drivers to take drug tests when they injure or kill someone in an accident. I just want to add that there's a couple of people we know have written to you. The AMA Coalition, I don't know why Dr. Haynes didn't make it down here this morning, the Legal and Voters, Sister of the Road, 2 former CRC members, including TJ Browning, and the Mental Health Association. And there's a lot of community concern that you're rushing this into place and leaving the new mayor with unaccountable police who are getting very well reimbursed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council members. For the record, I'm Joanne Hardesty, and I'm the president of the NAACP Portland branch. I am here today to ask you, where's the fire? I understand that you say that we are short on police officers, but I ask you, have you considered that we're in a new era of policing? We want different types of police officers.